All right, Brad, we sent you off into the field to do some proper investigating.
I did.
And you investigated a demo of an upcoming video game.
Yes. Middle-earth Shadow of War?
Shadow of War.
That's what they're calling it?
Yeah. I don't...
You got me.
Yeah. I feel like the word Mordor...
Mordor was the identifiable word in the last game's titles.
Yeah.
I don't know why
so replacing
that changed.
that one word, having that be the only word they replace also seems a little strange.
Yeah. But
is it not Middle-earth 2? It's just...
Nope. Middle-earth Shadow of War. I got to see a pretty good lengthy demo of it in a movie theater.
Oh, so you didn't play it?
Which was cool. No, they just showed us, so they were playing it live. But
okay, all right.
I watched them play it, and then they sent us a video of the entire thing that I saw. So now you can watch the entirety of the same demo that I went to see last week.
Okay.
But I also talked to them about it some, got some more information. So I can tell you some stuff about it as we watch this video.
Awesome. This starts out with a lot of talking.
Roll the tape. Yeah, we'll talk over their talking.
What did they mention about timeline stuff? Because
it's after the first game.
Or the Lord of the Rings.
You are now trying to forge your own ring, or you already have, and have a bunch more powers as a result.
Takes place many hours into the game, where we will show you one example of the epic personal story.
British lady's going to tell you what's going on.
But still before Lord of the Rings.
I guess I don't remember if they really addressed that. Yeah. Anyway, this is so. I'm just going to pause it a little bit here and there as we go through this stuff, but they have really blown out the Nemesis system in some kind of crazy ways.
Yeah, that seems like that was one of the things that people called out with that first game. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, like I kind of would have just expected like another open world with the same type of hierarchy, but they've got this big world map concept now.
We'll be journeying deep behind enemy lines and using the new.
So from what I understand, it seems like each one of these fortresses is at the center of each of these little maps that they're scrolling around, and they claim that each of these maps is going to be the size of one of those two maps from the first game.
All right.
They say how many maps total are going to be?
Well, looking at this, I mean, they scroll around to like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them.
Wow.
Looks like it.
You can actually go to the tower, Sauron's tower, can you?
Maybe.
Maybe? Who knows?
Captains, followers, fortresses, strongholds, missions, and more.
So each one of these,
We're going to attack
what is that, like 8 or something?
It looks like without the...
Yeah, so yeah, they're basically,
5 or 6, yeah.
they're basically saying each one of these locations is its own little open world.
And each will have some big bad at the end, I assume?
Not just that, so each one has its own separate Nemesis hierarchy.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you had the one hierarchy that you were fighting against in the first game, like each one of these zones and or like fortresses or whatever has its own unique like set of orcs that live there.
A unique set of orcs.
Yes.
Are there more bad guys than orcs in the universe for them to draw from, or is this kind of it?
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, there are trolls in this one now. You're fighting trolls. You're fighting guys that are mounted on, I don't know, wargback.
Okay.
It's not only our
So yeah, there will be more types of enemies to fight in this.
Yeah.
unique.
It looks like you have people on your side, too?
Yeah, so basically, I guess they're showing that stuff right here. This is basically what I saw last week, but you basically are building up your own Nemesis army to assault one of these fortresses with.
Oh, okay.
Are you mind controlling these people? Or
Yeah, it seems like you recruit basically the same way you did in the first game. Just like running up to a guy and like mind melding him and stuff like that. But from what I gather, you can pretty much decide to take on one of these fortresses at any time.
All right.
You just kind of up to you to decide how big an army you want to build up to take in there with you.
I'm assuming a bigger one makes it easier, but is it
that's
more time consuming? Or?
that
Like
was
turtle up and build a big base and then send out there. No rush.
that was the impression I got. Was this the guy that did he say something about coming back to life?
I think they're implying that he used to be on your side.
Yes, I was good. Yeah. I read that. That's in my notes. So this guy was in a part of your army at one point.
Is that Sauron's gauntlet? It looks like he's got like a weird shadow version of...
He used to be part of our army.
Oh yeah, she said the same thing. Yeah, so basically, yeah, if you lose people from your forces, they can be resurrected by the other side and brought back.
Okay.
And like call that out in dialogue and have some kind of vendetta against you.
I expect to hear a lot of text like this.
Yeah.
Defenses.
This is a little bit truncated from what I saw last week because they spent some more time on like the mission setup screen going into this.
Oh, okay.
So you're committing your own forces.
So you're bringing your hierarchy in to assault this base with you.
And they can be lost during that.
Yes, but the thing I was going to say, the thing that they didn't really focus on in this that I saw is that you can view the opposing force in the base, like beforehand in the mission setup.
first objective.
And one of the 4 war chiefs in this base, they had basically filled that spot with a spy, like with a guy that you had secretly recruited and had infiltrated the other side.
Yeah. Okay.
Ow.
That's cool.
So yeah, the thing to know basically is one of the war chiefs that you have to kill in here, actually you don't have to kill because he's actually your guy on the sly. And he can kind of intervene in different situations because he's on the inside to help you out a little bit.
Right.
Did they show you a lot of any of like just running around? I'm assuming you don't always have people, like when you're free roaming, you don't have.
They didn't show any of the open world stuff,
okay.
if that's what you mean. Just this like base assault. Just to give it a little more context, I mean, this assault you're doing here basically is in service of taking this zone. So by beating this mission, by taking out this whole hierarchy of guys here, you are taking over the zone that this base is in.
Okay.
So there's like a territory control aspect to that.
Is there any aspect of like, do you think that you will lose territory that you
I don't know.
gained?
They didn't
I wonder
say.
like if that's a back and forth struggle.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. They didn't say.
San Andreas style.
Yeah, they didn't say if you could lose the territories that you've taken or not.
Is this guy trying to cast a spell on you?
Maybe.
So this is the owner of the entire fort. That didn't take too long.
Curse broken. Hooray! Oh, well, that's.
With the Stormbringer defeated, we've broken the curse and can unleash our power as the Demolisher breaches the gate, allowing our army to storm.
So yeah, you basically take these fortresses in stages, it seems like.
Huh.
So like basically by killing that guy, you breach that first defense, and then more of your guys can start pouring in.
That guy seems cool.
Yeah, he seems all right. I don't know if they'll show it here, but
That's neat. That's
Yeah.
cool. Shoot the fire. I know you're not doing it. But
no, I'm not. So that was one of the effects of having that spy in the ranks of the enemy, is that you could get inside and he had planted like explosives around the castle wall. And you could blow those up to let your guys in sooner, basically.
Okay.
It seemed to be one of the benefits of doing that.
they really seem to be emphasizing huge crowds in this one.
Yeah.
And these abilities seem pretty cool.
I like the execution just stays up all the time. That was a combo one in the first one. You had to get to, I think, 5 or 8 before that popped up. Did they mention any kind of release date?
There are many ways.
I think it's end of August.
End of August, really?
Yeah.
Combat to stealth and infiltration.
Oh, all right, yeah. So you're doing that and doing that, sure, why not?
Did they give any peeks at the skill tree?
Kinda. Hopefully they'll get to that toward the end. They showed me some of that stuff. They seem to be going a lot harder on loot and RPG type leveling in this one. Like they straight up mentioned Diablo as an influence.
Really?
Huh.
You didn't have. You only had the bow, the sword, and the dagger in the first
well,
one.
I mean, I think there were different swords and stuff, right, in the first one, but it was a lot more limited, I think.
I think you could change the name of your sword, or you had the sigils, but I don't recall actually ever changing your sword.
So in this one, there's straight up color-coded loot.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
And there are armor sets that have set bonuses.
Huh.
There's like random loot that drops as quest rewards and stuff. Like they seem like they're going a lot harder on that stuff. I think they might show some of that toward the end.
Any hint of like an overarching storyline? Because I know you didn't really even fight Sauron at the end of the first one.
Yeah, like you've made your own ring and you're trying to take over Mordor from him.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not.
This guy cheated death.
Spy is also
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, so that's your spy.
sniping
Cool.
us. In Shadow of
They did not go into how you trigger stuff like this, though. I don't know if this is just random.
Right, like this all looks like a lot of this looks like a cutscene.
Yeah.
Like the gate breach
kinda-
and the fight there. Yeah.
I kind of had that feeling. They were playing it. I mean, there was a person there driving the demo with
Right.
the controller, but I felt like this whole thing felt almost a little scripted, you know?
Well, I'm sure there's a specific route that they've tried 100 times for this
Well, yeah.
specific demo.
I mean, that's how previews builds like
Yeah,
they always go.
always.
But I mean, like, yeah, I don't know how you would trigger your spy intervening in a
Right, like
an
how do
encounter
they
like that.
make these moments possible?
Right.
Stormbringer help us collect this epic armor of Rohan and equip it.
Okay, yeah. So here's some straight up loot.
That's pretty neat. It feels kind of natural evolution for the second game to do that, but it also, I mean, Lord of the Rings is always about these very specific kinds of weapons and armor that people use to be awesome, and just to have it be picking up swords or
Right,
dudes on the
yeah.
ground. Maybe there'll be unique ones though.
Or, you know, there's always going to be run-of-the-mill swords and shit, right? It's just,
Sure.
But, you know, the truly, the best colored loot, the rarest loot will be uniques or something. I don't know. Okay, all right.
Sauron really big on modern dance.
Sure. That's,
It would really stink to commit your forces to something like this and have them be like lost permanently if something goes wrong, but I'm sure they'll have all kinds of different
ways to kind of dig yourself out of that hole.
Gameplay systems here. I mean, Shadow of Mordor was... For the first game in a series, Shadow of Mordor had some amazing system design.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of riffing on Assassin's Creed, obviously, a lot, but...
Sure, like Batman combat, too, in there.
Oh, gee. Ooh, man.
All right.
They kept the dragon as a siege weapon. That's pretty cool.
Also, ride the dragon.
Yes.
Why not? Yeah.
Releasing and dominating the Drake lets us turn the Overlord's defenses against him.
Huh.
But yeah, Rory, you were talking about like rolling in here with a big force and then losing a bunch of them.
Yeah.
My understanding was you can kind of decide to assault one of these fortresses like whenever you want.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to build up like, okay, now I've got 20 guys or I've got 30 guys, now I'm ready to go or whatever.
And I imagine they would have some kind of, with all these numbers that you're seeing on,
I think
like on different characters, like they probably have some kind of rough estimate of your power versus theirs.
That's the trade-off, It's like it's going to be way harder if you're low level and you don't have a big army to take in with you.
There was a point in Shadow of Mordor, like halfway through, where you feel like so much more powerful than everything else you're fighting against, but by the end, it felt like some of those really, really hard bosses were actually really challenging to get done well.
Like what? Yeah, like what is that whole dragon sequence that it just like pulls out of it to now you're just standing on this wall?
Right.
It's like what is this video game? Like some of this stuff is just really hard to parse.
That's kind of the impression I was getting watching him play it.
Yeah.
Was that, like it felt like half the time you were spending half of your time watching these pulled out like cinematic executions and transitions and stuff like that.
Like that stuff's cool. All right, yeah, no.
I mean, the first game had a lot of that, you know, like you kind of could see how it would spiral out of the regular gameplay, but but it is kind of a lot to take in here.
That mini-map, man. Are all the blues your guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Looks like you've made the enemies retreat, too.
We can face our ultimate nemesis in this fort, the Dragon Lord himself.
So yeah, they've added a new tier of dude above War Chief, which I think is called the Overlord.
It's really funny.
That's this.
It's just funny they forgot to lock that door after everything else you've been through.
Has been customized by the Overlord as his personal combat arena.
So yeah, like the specific orc that runs a certain base will dress this area up, like cosmetically with their own shit. It's kind of it seems like kind of a neat touch. I think hopefully they'll show some of this later on, like after you finish this mission. But I can't remember if the first game didn't have tribes of orcs, did it?
I think it just had orcs and Urkai and I always forget. I always get my Lord of the Rings races.
So they've split orcs up into a bunch of different tribes in this one. So like tribes are focused on, like I wrote down, like there's a necromancy tribe. There's a tribe that focuses on like mounted combat.
All right. This guy's got a sawed-off telephone pole that he's going to shoot at you.
Good for the rights holders to let them. And these feel like pretty big lore changes, which is tough to do with some licenses.
But so the type of tribe that controls a given zone is going to determine like what types of enemies you see more of and that kind of thing.
And that could theoretically change hands over the course of the game.
So,
geez.
Hopefully they show that, but yeah, like after you take a fortress, you then decide which orc becomes the new guy to run the place.
Oh, right.
And the tribe he belongs to controls like what effects that'll trickle down to in the open world there.
I don't see a combo meter or a hit meter here.
Yeah, I wonder if they've just got it set because that execution thing is still on screen, and that was always kind of.
Obviously, in the first game, you had different stuff that would be done for like getting up to 50 hits or whatever, and it's weird that they would. That seemed like a pretty core part of the first game's combat.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's just a presentational thing here.
Let me show you how it's done. This might hurt.
Yeah, so like...
Oh, you summon people now?
I'm not quite sure how that would be triggered.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, there's no UI for it, that's for sure.
Right.
Unless it's bound to a certain key combo.
Yeah, I feel like I almost need to play through this myself to really get a sense of how you use all these powers.
Right. It's just like, it seems like they're missing like a ton of HUD to actually make all these things happen or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
There was a little bit of HUD when you mind control that guy. There was like a stay and fight. Like they had a little bit there. So
you could shame him to get a lesser level.
Yeah.
Right.
With the Overlord defeated, Fort Saragost and this region of Mordor are ours. Conquering the region rewards us with experience, loot, new followers, and resources. It also creates a personal base from which we train our forces, increase our power, and upgrade our defenses against Sauron's counterattacks.
That sounds like you can.
Yeah, that does make it sound like he's going to be coming back after your stuff.
Our followers. We need to select one.
Yeah, so like Mystic, Beastmaster, like stuff like that, are the different, seem to be the different like tribes.
Creating an entire
So you can make them more powerful. I assume you expend some kind of resource for that?
Maybe.
The War Chief is a necromancer. He will shroud the fort in sorcery to confuse and terrify attackers. This War Chief...
So you can like see in the background, like the fortress itself sort of changes in look as you cycle between different guys, which I don't know, that could be kind of a cool system.
But we're going to promote Ragdug, the War Chief who charged through that artillery assault and helped us bring down Ord Hakon, the Dragon Lord. As a marauder, he can loot and pillage the region for us.
So yeah, if I understood correctly in the demo when I was talking to him about it,
we can upgrade the fortress.
having this guy in place means like you'll get more money out of the zone, or it'll somehow generate more resources or something, because that's what his tribe does.
Yeah.
They didn't give a lot of specifics about that stuff, but it seemed like there's like a really light strategy layer to that. That kind of stuff.
Of this mission was
That's cool.
dynamic and unique. No two players of the game will experience the same story.
We will spread his power!
This was just one step in our conquest of Mordor. One small example of the millions of unique stories players will create in Middle-earth Shadow of War.
I really hope they do like a Inglourious Basterds thing and just let you kill Sauron at the end. Because you know you can't. I mean, the license there would never ever allow that. Which is why these games are always going to be a little interesting in terms of the story, where you know the end is you're gonna fail somehow.
There's so much other fiction that they have to tie into. Huh.
Nope. Pass.
Cut off that
Legendary
damn
champions.
ads at the end of it.
That pretty much covered, I mean, like I said, that was the entire demo I saw.
Right,
Basically,
yeah.
so you kind of have seen everything I saw now.
Yeah, I think like my questions just become like, well, how do you control any of that stuff and all that? Like that seems like a smart expansion of the concepts of the first game.
Yeah. And it's not like you'll basically pull back out to that big overworld map and just kind of warp between different zones.
Right, yeah.
But they did say there's still plenty of like open world in each of those zones. There's still like, you know, smaller orc camps to find, and like caves and side quests and stuff like that.
So it's not just all like management of a force and take fortresses. Yeah,
you gotta find your herbs too. I mean,
of course.
Yes, it's got to be some place to go pick herbs.
Right.
That seems really cool. Shadow of Mordor was our game of the year, right?
Yeah.
That year it came out. That game was great.
Yeah, it's a good game.
This looks really, really cool.
Yeah, so I think they've kind of gone maybe a little further than I expected in terms of expanding the scope of the Nemesis stuff with the different fortresses and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like all their pitch when they even initially announced the game made it sound like that there would just be a lot of different ways in which your actions would impact the world, whether it's just stuff like, hey, the fortress looks this way because you appointed this person or whatever. So, yeah, like people flipping back and forth and giving them like that additional personal connection layer seems kind of smart.
Yeah, it could be neat.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll just it looks like it'll kind of just, like the moment to moment might be kind of similar in terms of how the combat works.
That stuff looks very, very much the same.
But that stuff was good before.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing that game quite a bit, so I don't mind chopping more orcs in half.
I think like more of that in another single open world with another single like Nemesis tree, that would have wouldn't have been enough. Like that would not have been it. So it's nice to see they're trying to add.
It seems like they really took their time before. I mean, even announcing it. Obviously, like this game seems like a pretty fast turnaround from announced to ship, but.
They've obviously been working up since before the first one came out. I assume.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like that this was
so 2.5 years or 3 years.
Maybe supposed to be announced earlier or something. I don't know. Like it seems like people have loosely known that this was the thing
Yes.
they were doing for a pretty long time.
Yes,
So
yes, indeed.
I don't know why they waited so long, but
Get away from the Hobbit trilogy, maybe, because that was not super well received.
Sure,
So maybe just
yeah.
give it a little breathing space.
cool.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And that's all.
That's it. And that's all.
You've seen everything I have now seen about
All right.
Shadow of War.
I'm
Orcs.
assuming they'll have a huge E3 showing for this game, is what I presume.
Probably.
So
Yeah, I
more
mean,
information there.
They've got this, and Injustice is out in June. I wonder, I'm like thinking like what Warner would have, but yeah, that's probably this will be the big marquee thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Brad.
It looks neat.
Yeah.
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 Brad.
Pretty optimistic.